Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today I'm coming to you guys with a really cool keyboard. So we have to really thank GDK Labs because they sent this out to me, and we have to thank Keybay because Keybay is the one that really helped me to get this board in. And luckily what happened was I was actually trying to look into reviewing a DK160 at the time, and then I ended up reaching out to GDK Labs, and they actually needed to find a new vendor for their newest board that they were going to release. And they actually asked me if I knew anyone, and I got them connected to Keybay, which was really cool. So then Keybay helped me be able to get one as well so that I could actually review it. And we have it right here in our hands. So this is the NV70, and I was really excited to try this because this is my first FRL, and I'm really curious how this board's going to be, how it's going to sound, and the design of it, because it's supposed to be like a Hyundai hydrogen hybrid, and I think it's going to be really cool. So let's go into this, but please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'd really love for you guys to join the Discord, as I'm really trying to build a community and hopefully a space that you guys can ask questions and really get the answers you're looking for, or also keep up with like really cool boards and keep up with information of the new Switch that I'm trying to work on for Hall Effect boards. So let's go straight into unboxing, but please make sure to like and subscribe. So let's start off with the unboxing of the NV70. Thank you again, GDK, and thank you so much, Keybay, for getting me this board, because I was really interested in trying out this board, and in general I've been kind of interested in the GDK boards, especially since the DK160, and this is going to be like my first time trying out one of their boards, so I'm quite excited to see what it's like. Now, the biggest thing to keep in mind is I think the DK160 had a bit of a drawback in that it had the split backspace that I wasn't really a big fan of. I wanted the flow backspace for 60%, but you know, that's just me. Some people really like the split backspace. Now, this one comes in a really nice carrying case. So you get this really cool carrying case, which I think looks incredible. It's a very nice color. It's a nice beige to it, and it looks really nice. Overall, like, they did a good job with this. I would have appreciated maybe a handle in there as well, maybe just for people carrying it around, but you know, that's just only in the case that you actually have to carry it separately instead of a backpack. Now, you do get a braided cable for a cable. It's not the greatest cable, I'm gonna be honest with you. Very honest. The cable itself is a bit mediocre. It kind of feels okay. Like, it's I would say like mid cable, not like the cheap cables, but not like the really nicer cables out there. Now, in terms of the inside, you also get a tool, which some people might use the tool. I usually use my own screwdriver, but from what I've heard from some other creators out there, they had some issues with the screwdriver, so just keep in mind with that, and hopefully GDK fixes it. Now, with these stabilizers, GDK does provide their own, and it's screw-in stabilizers which have a higher profile to them, so that's something that's nice. It might be very good. I've only used them once in, like, not GDK ones, but similar ones with a little bit of a higher profile to them, which sounded very nice and were pretty good stabilizers. Inside, you get the foam package with the PCB all together, and you get a decent amount of foams in there. So the foam wise, it's kind of interesting. They're not doing like what normally other brands will do, which is usually like a back of the PCB foam and the bottom case like thicker foam. Instead, it's just the, you know, between the plate and the PCB, and then the bottom of the case like very thin, like just covering up the indents that is going to be inside there. So very interesting the way that they went with it. Really curious how it's going to sound with the foam and foamless, but it's nice that the PCB that I got is a non-flex cut, so that's super awesome. Luckily, I was able to choose my configuration, which many creators actually weren't able to do. Now, in terms of the case itself, I actually got the dark gold color, which looks amazing. I love this color right now. It looks really good, and I think they did a great job with this color. Honestly, I thought the dark gold was gonna be a little bit darker considering like what I originally saw with the renders, because the original renders looked like it was gonna be even darker, but I actually really love this color. It's kind of like the champagne gold kind of color, but darker, and it looks incredible. Now, the back as well and the sides just look really nice. I'm really curious how the backlighting is going to look in this, because this is supposed to be themed after the Hyundai hydrogen car, but the weight is going to be 1.34 kgs, and let's go into really tearing apart the board and taking a bit more of a closer look. Now, the thing that's really cool is that you have this little section here. It's removable, and it's actually kind of heavy. It has a decent weight to it. I think it's made out of steel, which is really cool. And it does require a different type of screwdriver though, so the actual tool inside the carrying case won't actually work. You will need a different one to remove it. But what it does is it allows you to change it to a numpad. So you can either have a numpad there or just like the regular TKL style. Now the back of the case is, as we took it open, the battery is going to be 2500 milliamps. So you get a total of 5000, which I tested the battery length and it's actually pretty good. You know, when I tried Neo boards, usually they have a smaller battery in them, but this one definitely nice to have it. And the weight itself mine's the machine weight, and you have to slide it in, which is kind of interesting as well. I'm really curious what the mirror weight's like, but unfortunately I didn't get the mirror weight. The machine weight is something that I really like the design of. Now the plate itself is an alu plate, the one I got. It's 1.5 millimeters, and so is the PCB. And there is a little bit of cuts in there that you can see on the top, but it's supposed to be non-flex cut. Now I have two keycaps I'm going to be using. Thank you again, Toronto Keyboard Man, because they sent me out the GDK Labs ABS Munich, and I'm going to be using that for this build because I think that's going to look really sick in this. Now I did put in the stabilizers. You do get so many different layouts available with this PCB. It has ISO, ANSI, you can do split backspace or full backspace, and it's non-flex cut, which is really awesome. They do have a solder and a flex cut version if you wanted. Only unfortunate thing is though is that you only get 7U, which I do wish they had 6.25U available as well. It just would have been cool to have like different options available to use with this board, but you're stuck with a 7U, which some people might enjoy. I like 7U personally, but it would have been just nice to have that option in general, especially if they're doing ISO NZ as well. Now, I like to use cherries as like a benchmark in terms of like what switches and sound wise. So we're going to use cherries, but we also use a Klecky switch and a Thocky switch just to get like a sound test with them. And the first thing we're going to try is the PCB gasket mount. So there's two different mountings for this. One's the PCB gasket mount, and then one's the plate gasket mount. So we'll try both with them, see what the sounds like, and then of course give you guys what my thoughts are in terms of the best build for this and solutions if you want to try something else and it's not really the best sound that we're getting. So we put in the switches in, we're going to be closing it all up, and then of course I'm going to be getting in the keycaps, which I have two GDK Labs keycaps. That's one's the Hokkaido and the other one's the Munich. But I think for this build, the Munich is going to look super sick. So we're going to grab the Munich and then we're going to put it all in and then see what it looks like, of course, and take a deep look with the design of it. I think it looks super clean with this. Like, I'm loving this set. It kind of has a PPT feel, but it's not bad. But let's do a sound test. So we've done the sound test with no foams with both mounting styles with this, and we did 3 different switches for each style, of course. I think that in general, the PCB gasket mount has a little bit of a thinner sound for clacky switches, but it has a little bit better sound for thocky switches. The plate gasket mount is actually nicer for the clacky and like the cherry switch, but the thocky switch doesn't work out too well. It's my experience with it. So the thing we're going to do is, of course, we're going to grab the foams, and I want to show you what foams we're working with, which is going to be the bottom case foam, which you can see right here is just strands that go into those little portions there. And I want to actually try seeing how this is like with the PCB gasket mount and hear how the clacky switches are, because the clacky switches with the PCB gasket mount sounded a little bit thin and had a little bit of like that ringing noise, which I'm not a big fan of in terms of clacky switches when a board does that. So we're going to try just adding that in and see how it makes a difference. And I think maybe it might be the best way to make it sound good. So that was with the cherry switches, which I think sounded a lot better with it, but let's try the cheese. So if you're going to use the PCB gasket mount, I would highly recommend adding the case foam in the bottom just for a little bit more of a full sound. I think it works much better with the cheese, like clacky sounds. But let's put the foams in and do a full sound test. So I don't want to make the videos too long, so I'm going to remove the mid parts. But as you can see here on the back of the board, you can see how there's like a little bit of lettering there. It's very, very difficult to see, to be honest, even in person, very hard. Now the profile of this board is a little bit on the lower side, and the front profile as well. I actually really prefer this. It's been really comfortable to type on because it's a little bit lower. So like without any wrist rest, it feels very, very nice to type on. Now, if you are someone who likes the wrist rest, it might be a little bit too low. And in general, the backside, the machined back weight is really nice. The CNC is actually really decent with this, but you will get some nicking pretty easily. So that's something that I've faced for this board. Now, overall, this board design, I really, really appreciated like how they did it. Now, from talking with GDK, I know that they didn't focus super heavily on the sound, but more focus on the outer look. This is just from my talks with them, but the sound-wise, it sounded pretty good. I do love this backlighting though. If you saw my Instagram post, which you guys should go check it out, I did it with like a car, and it looks so nice, and it has a really like car-like headlight or a backlight look to it, which is amazing. Now the machined weight I think looks really nice. I'm not sure what the mirror is going to look like, but I think the machined weight looks super sick. Now, as I said before, the front is only 18.1 millimeters, and that's including the feet. The back is going to be a total of 32.3 millimeters. So as you can see, it's a little bit on the lower side. So a total of about 8 degrees is what you're looking at, around 8 to 9 degrees, which I think from my experience with different boards, it's a little bit on the lower side, but I've really been enjoying it. With the full build, the weight is going to be 1.74 kilograms or 1.75. I kind of wish it was a little bit heavier. That's just my personal preference. I like a little bit more of a heavier board, but you know, this is going to be the weight of this one. As you will see as well, it is more weighted to the back. So because the weight is all on the back only, the weight really goes to the back of the board and not the front. So it's not a fully balanced board, which is something to note as well. And you'll notice that the number row area is going to have a bit more of a like a deeper tone to it that comes out compared to like the other areas of the board. So that's something I also noticed with the sound wise. The number area really does have like a little bit more of that deep tone to it. Overall though, I think they did a great job in terms of like the sound profile with it. Foamless wise, like getting the non-flex cut really works well. I would highly recommend going with the plate gasket mount if you're looking to do a little bit more of different types of switches, unless you're looking to do like a deep sound, which interestingly enough, the foams work really well with this board. Like the foams sound so good with this. I was quite surprised because like when I did the Neo review with the 98, I'm gonna be honest, the foam sound was not great with them. But this board, the foam sound sounds really good, and you don't actually need to do any mods to them, and it's not gonna sound like too foamed up either. It's kind of like a perfect balance of the amount of foam sound you get with it, which is really nice with it. And I think for the cherry blacks, the MX2A blacks, actually doing a foamed build with this one sounded a lot nicer. You get a little bit more of a full sound for the cherry switches, which was very interesting, and I actually really did appreciate it. Now, taking apart this board wasn't too difficult either, right? You only have 6 screws that you have to use to undo, and then you can take it apart. Of course, don't mind that my cheese switch is in there. It was just the last switch that I was testing, and I really think that with the overall alu plate, you do get a nice sound. And with the mountings, like the PCB mount, I think it works very well with adding a little bit of like that foam. It just has a little bit of, unfortunately, like a thin sound to it, and it feels a little bit more stiff overall. It has a bit more of like a stiff feel to it because of like how big it is and how it fits into the case itself. So it's a little bit stiffer compared to say like the plate gasket mount, which is going to be less stiff in the overall feel. And I personally think that if there with the 2 choices of the plates that is provided, I would go with the alu plate over the PC plate. I think that's just going to be a little bit better of a choice to kind of try more different switches and different styles of switches with this board. But overall, with the PCB mounting, just add the case foams. I think adding the case foams is not going to really make it sound like a too thick or too full board. The plate mount is actually okay to do completely foamless, but I would say still kind of lacks in terms of using more of that, say, thockier switch. Now, in terms of the board itself and in terms of the right side, right where the lighting is, that lighting is quite interesting. It kind of goes through from the PCB, but you can actually go with a full num pad over there, but you will not get a full size 0, which is unfortunate. The full size 0 is missing, which I'm quite sad about. You have to go with like the small 0, which I'm not a big fan of using the small zeros, but it's really cool the fact that you can do some kind of different customizations with this board, kind of allowing you to go with different styles, especially if you are someone who likes to have a numpad. This is a really interesting board with it. But One thing I did notice is that with the numpad, the numros, so the numbers on the top, it's going to be a little bit awkward in terms of typing because you're going to have to get used to a little bit of a different reach. So if you have shorter fingers, just note that it's going to be a bit awkward for typing. You will get used to it. I've gotten used to it with the NV70, but it is something that's a bit awkward, and it's something that I think will take some time for a lot of people to get used to. So of course, going into the website of Keybay. So Keybay is going to be the NA seller, the only NA seller, and you'll be able to see the prices here where it starts at 149 USD, and then you're going to have to add on a plate and add on like the specific PCB that you want, which will of course increase the price, and it goes up to about 232 USD. I think the pricing on this board is quite good. They did a decent pricing with it. It's really a decent board for that price, right? Like when you consider different boards out there and then how much you're gonna be spending, I think they did a very, very good job, because you still do get the foam kit with it. You get the the stabilizers, and you also get the carrying case and everything. So when you really consider it, like it's $232 if you get the mirror weight, and you can save like an extra, $7 if you go with the machined, which I like the machined more. And if you're in different countries, like if you're in Korea, you can get it from Geonworks, and if you're in Australia, you can get it from Keeves and Cable. So with this board, I did try gaming with it. It will take a little bit of time to get used to because of where the numbers are, but I didn't have any issues with the gaming, and you're still getting 1000 Hertz, which is honestly just enough for gaming. You can really get away with 1000 Hertz, but if you really want to go a little bit more competitive and do more gaming with it, of course you should probably look at getting a Hall effect keyboard instead. Now, overall, I think they did a very good job with the value wise. I would say the sound can sound thin with clackier switches, especially if you use a tactile clacky switch, but that's something that I think is difficult to make sound good in a lot of boards out there, especially when you're looking at more of like a budget pricing. I would say go take a look. I'll have the links in the description. It's definitely a style that you won't see very often that comes out. So this is the GDK NV70 that we did a full looking through, in-depth look. Thank you guys so much for watching from the front to the end. Hopefully you guys caught everything that you need, and you'll be able to catch it if you're in NA in Keybay's website. So I'll have a link to the description. You can go check out Keybay's website, right? The group buy started January 25th. It's supposed to go for 15 days. So make sure you grab yourself one, because I think it's really good value for what you're paying. Like the board itself is priced very, very well. And when I consider like everything about it, it really does come out to a very nice board at a very good price point. And it's a board that's kind of special in terms of the design. So you're not going to get a lot of FRLs out there, or you're not going to get a design kind of like this for, easily out there. So I would say at this time, if you're looking for something that's really cool and interesting, and you want a board that has a pretty interesting sound, let's say a little bit deeper than other foamless boards, but has a nice sound to it, you can definitely go check it out yourselves in the link in the description. I'll also link the keycaps for you guys, and hopefully you guys can get everything you need for this board. Of course, you can go check out my live stream for any other questions. Come ask questions in the Discord channel, and I'd love to see you guys there and answer questions that you guys may have. Of course, please make sure to like and subscribe. Go check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.